What's up, everyone? This is Quentin Figueroa, and in this video I'd like to talk to you how Litecoin is the dev version of Bitcoin, as are most altcoins. So yeah, you're probably thinking, what's on the horizon for Bitcoin, right? There's been a lot of attention, a lot of hype going around with it. The price has been going up a lot. So what's on the horizon for Bitcoin? Well, all you have to do is look at the development version, which of course is Litecoin. Because the way this works is that we have kind of all these different these different altcoins going on, and they all do things in different ways, right? You have Ethereum, it's doing its own thing kind of with, it's like a blockchain API. You have Litecoin, it's very similar to Bitcoin, a few minor changes, but it has way less congestion on it because it's not used as much, so it's quicker, this kind of thing. You have Dash, it uses master nodes, it has private and instant send type capabilities, right? So these are features that Bitcoin does not currently have. You have Monero, it's more based around privacy, it has built-in mixing to the protocol. So you have these different kind of altcoins that do different parts that Bitcoin currently does. And so it's like, you want to know what's going to happen with Bitcoin? Well, just look at what's happening with Litecoin. What are the new changes Litecoin's making? Because, usually when you have a development version of something, the production version eventually takes that development stuff and, release it and deploys it into the production environment. So yeah, so as we know, Bitcoin has some scaling issues going on. It's been having scaling issues for a while. That's why we have these two forks, aka dividends, that have happened the last few months with Bitcoin. We had Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Gold. These forks were done, to somewhat fix these scaling issues, or at least that's kind of what they say, right? So you have these happening to try to fix these scaling issues, because yeah, Bitcoin is having problems, and this transaction fee cost could become a problem into the future, and so we need to find a way to kind of fix that and bring it down. So what's the solution? Well, we have this Lightning Network that is currently underway that is being worked on, and that is a possible solution that down the road could be used. The question is, though, when does Bitcoin get it, right? We already had SegWit, and nobody's really integrated that yet. So we have kind of these improvement features, but it's not really happening yet on Bitcoin. And we have this Lightning Network development, which is basically like a second layer built on top of a blockchain that allows for millions of transactions to happen a second for very low transaction fees. So it's like a fix to this main scaling issue kind of with Bitcoin, but Bitcoin, it's going to take a while for it to deploy it. It could take a year or so. And, Bitcoin, the reason a lot of these forks happen is because it's hard to reach a consensus with Bitcoin because it's so big, right? It's got lots of people kind of pulling in different directions, and it's hard to reach a consensus. Where you have these smaller projects like Litecoin, where they also kind of have like Charlie Lee directing it. So it's got kind of more of a direction and a vision for it. So it's a little bit easier to do improvements and changes because of that. So when you have the Lightning Network, when you have Litecoin, that is like 99.9% the exact same as Bitcoin. Well, then when you want to deploy and test the Lightning Network, you don't have to test it on the main Bitcoin blockchain. It's like, why not just test it on the dev version, Litecoin? So yeah, the Lightning Network is going to be released on Litecoin first because it's way easier for people who build Litecoin to reach a consensus and to say, yeah, let's do the Lightning Network here. So in this sense, that's kind of what I'm saying. Litecoin is basically the development version for Bitcoin, and that's kind of what it's become, and that's kind of how it's working. Rather than Bitcoin like testing Litecoin network itself in a separate environment, which it'll do, it has a testnet or whatever, but really the testnet for Bitcoin is Litecoin because it works the exact same way, and it lets you kind of get real world results and data to see how it works. And then if it ends up working okay on Litecoin, then it's like, yeah, let's deploy it over to Bitcoin now. And then people will kind of see like, okay, yeah, it works. It makes sense. We've tested it on the dev environment. Let's push it, let's deploy it over to production. So that's what I'm talking about when I say that Litecoin is the dev version for Bitcoin, because it is. It's like the more nimble, easy chain to do stuff with, to make changes on. You don't have to reach this huge consensus with Bitcoin. It's way easier to just be like, all right, you know what, screw it, let's do it on Litecoin. And then the people who develop Bitcoin, they're like, okay, it works on Litecoin, let's merge these changes in and let's roll with it. So that's kind of what's going on, and that's what's going to happen with Lightning Network. So it's important to kind of see that, right? Litecoin's like, hey, Bitcoin, it's like it's kind of like the little brother to Bitcoin, or people say like silver to gold, and it's like, hey, Bitcoin, check this out. I can do this Lightning Network stuff. And Bitcoin's like, yeah, that's pretty cool, brother. Way to go, man. Good job. And he's like, thanks, bro. Really cool, man. Happy to help out. So that's what Litecoin's doing. And of course, it's not just Litecoin. It's all other altcoins, because nobody really knows the right way to do cryptocurrency. Most people still, if people know about cryptocurrency, they don't really know how it works. They don't understand how a blockchain works. And they don't understand the different variables and components and different ways that you can build around a blockchain. Like, what is the right amount of currency supply to have? What's the right way to mine? Should it use proof of work? Should it use proof of stake? Should we have more privacy features? How do we make transactions quicker? What are different ways we can do that? So there's all these different features and parts of a blockchain that people don't even know that they are important yet, or that need to be talked about. Like, people buying Bitcoin don't even know it has scaling issues right now. They just know that it's going to be something big, and it's true. So it's like, we have all these different coins that do different things, and they compete against each other. And through this competition, it refines the vision of this decentralized open blockchain concept behind Bitcoin, this open source decentralized value exchange. So they're all competing to kind of do the best way. There's over 1,000 altcoins, cryptocurrencies now, right? Bitcoin's obviously the most popular, but you have all these other ones under it that are doing unique things. For the most part, not a lot, but some of them are just scams and, pump and dumps and this kind of stuff. But there are, some more legitimate projects where people have kind of good visions, and they have a way that they want to do something, and they're trying to gain traction. And so they're doing unique stuff that is something that, later Bitcoin might adopt or whatever. So in a way, they're kind of acting as development versions again for Bitcoin, right? So the part that I don't know if people necessarily realize with these altcoins is ultimately just going to make Bitcoin stronger, because Bitcoin is obviously the first cryptocurrency. It has the first mover advantage. It has all these network advantages from, people hooking up to it. People have it on their smartphone. Shopping carts online have it. People in just mom and pop stores and just storefronts in the physical world, they have it. So Bitcoin has kind of permeated itself throughout society, and people are familiar with it now, at least a little bit. They have a cursory understanding of Bitcoin. What they don't know, like I said, is what the features it should have, and kind of technically how it should work. And that's what altcoins are kind of working out, right? Because you have, say, Dash. It has this masternodes network where it has private send and instant send that can be done in kind of a proof of stake way. It's technical stuff, right? Most people don't know what this means, and it's not that important to know what it means. What's important is that somebody is doing something different that they think is valuable that may later be used by Bitcoin. Monero, it's focused on a privacy space. It has basically replaced Bitcoin as the currency to use for privacy-centric stuff. It's more like underground or whatnot. Kind of like what Bitcoin used to be, Monero is now the underground kind of currency. So you have this. It mixes your transactions, so you can't track where it came from, and it's super private. It's really good for that type of thing. You have, of course, Litecoin. It's now going to be integrating the Lightning Network soon. So it's doing this that Bitcoin hasn't quite gotten around to yet. So you have these other currencies that are doing different things. And it's real easy for Bitcoin, being the big cryptocurrency, it's 60% of the whole cryptocurrency space. It's easy for them to just kind of sit back, look at what other companies are doing, other cryptocurrencies, and to pick and choose what it wants. It's not that hard. If a currency is pretty similar to Bitcoin, which a lot of them are, it's very easy for Bitcoin to, at a later date, just say, we want to apply this to our protocol. So they can just pick and choose whatever's working. So Litecoin does the Lightning Network. It works really well. Bitcoin's okay, we'll just use that. Thank you very much. Boom. Monero's doing privacy stuff with mixing of addresses or something. Bitcoin could technically do something like this. So it just takes that, thank you very much, Monero. Boom, we're doing that now. Dash has the second layer masternodes network, and they're doing instant transactions, and they're doing private transactions through that. Bitcoin could just be thank you very much. We're going to merge that in. So these guys are all kind of helping Bitcoin in a way. It's not a bad thing. But I don't think people necessarily see that these altcoins, yeah, they're doing unique stuff, but it's not that hard for Bitcoin if they do get momentum and people are at the level now where they say these are the features we want in a cryptocurrency, Bitcoin just says like, okay, there you go. And they just had that feature, and then it's like, okay, why do we need this altcoin anymore? So these other altcoins are essentially just building Bitcoin up and feeding it with the data, feedback, and features, and security and testing, and all these things that people want and that it needs for the cryptocurrency. So they're building Bitcoin up, and I don't think people necessarily see that, and it's an important thing to realize. And that's kind of what I'm saying. That's how these altcoins and Litecoin, especially, are development versions for Bitcoin, because they're all developing different things in different branches. Lots of different stuff going on, features and things, and Bitcoin's just sitting there as the master branch, just like, thank you very much. This is good. That doesn't work. Screw that. I'm not using that. And like, okay, yeah, this one, yeah, I don't want that. So it's like the production cryptocurrency that takes from and merges in all the beneficial, important aspects from these development cryptocurrencies. That's what I'm saying. And yeah, of course, there are, exceptions, because so there are some cryptocurrencies that are kind of more foundationally different, like Ethereum, where it's more like a blockchain API. It's got smart contracts. It's kind of more foundationally different than Bitcoin. You have IOTA. It doesn't even technically really use a blockchain. It uses what they call a tangle, which is a directed acyclic graph. And it's not really blockchain based. So you have these ones which are kind of harder to take from. But like even with Ethereum, they're thinking of kind of switching more to a proof of stake, like a hybrid proof of stake, proof of work type consensus. And it's not important to really know what that means, but it's just they're testing kind of things that could be merged over to Bitcoin, even though Ethereum is kind of different. Parts of Ethereum can still be merged into Bitcoin, like that kind of stuff. If it works well for Ethereum, okay, well, let's just, put that into Bitcoin and thank you very much. So even something like that is more different or unique, like Ethereum, it could still be kind of merged into Bitcoin, certain parts, and still act as like a dev branch for that. IOTA, which is getting quite a bit of attention now. It's heralded for low transaction fees and, this like infinite scalability aspect, right? Which is awesome. If it shows that this type of thing is good, it's like, well, I don't know, maybe Bitcoin can't integrate like the exact way they're doing it, but they can at least say like, okay, low transaction fees is important. We're losing ground because of it. We better find a way to do this. And I'm sure there's other things with IOTA that that IOTA could be doing that Bitcoin could still be pulling from and kind of integrating into their coin. So you have, even with these kind of exceptions, you might not be able to like directly copy what they're doing. You can still see like trends or patterns, kind of directional things they're doing and say like, okay, well, how can we do this as Bitcoin? Because this is now important to users. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. And of course, though, you can't totally copy IOTA, because if IOTA is now doing these like no fee transactions, that's totally not with a blockchain and it's working really well. And like Bitcoin's like built on a blockchain, it's pretty hard to remove the blockchain from Bitcoin and pull that over from IOTA. And if that's the case, and if IOTA is doing that and it's becoming popular, well then Bitcoin is Bitcoin is going to be quite a bit in like a bit of a tangle. So that's kind of a problem for Bitcoin, but we'll see how it ends up. I just wanted to get that point across and show how these other altcoins, they're basically dev versions for Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a production cryptocurrency. All these others are just dev branches. And they're just, trying different things, and Bitcoin's just picking and choosing what it wants. So production branch is Bitcoin, so it's gonna remain pretty powerful because of that. And I think it's something important to think about. So wanted to share that with you. Thank you very much. Have a good day and get yourself some cryptocurrency if you have not already. All right, see ya. Bye.